Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector back with another video, and I'm here to show you another quick pickup that I made recently. This is a copy of Batman the video game for the NES, or for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And honestly, this is a very good side-scrolling platforming game for the NES. I actually had this before as well. I actually had a crispy copy of this game, minty. I mean, it was way better than this copy. Picked it up from a local antique shop. They were selling NES games for $10 a pop. I was able to get them. And at the time, I just was not into NES games, so I wound up selling them. But I'm getting these back now because these NES games definitely are a great bang for buck. They pack a lot of punch. Depending on the types of game style that you're into, if you like side-scrolling platformers, then these will be right up your alley. But a lot of these NES games are like $10 a piece. And if you're buying 2D pixelated Nintendo Switch games that are really themed and based off of games from the 80s and early 90s, then why not just spend a fraction of the price and get the original thing? And I'm into that genre. I'm into that style. So this is one that is definitely going to be added to the collection. I was playing it earlier, and I totally forgot that you can choose different weapons in this one. You have like a missile that you can shoot. You obviously have your batarang. Then there's like another weapon that you have that kind of spreads out in like a spread shot. So definitely some options in terms of the weapons. And then of course, you've got your general punch, and then you're running and jumping and stuff like that. So I mean, Batman is definitely going to go right in there. And I mean, I think I'm going to wind up doing a video soon once I kind of get all the NES games that I'm looking for, just highlighting a good number of NES games that are fun to play that you can get for under $10. I mean, all of these games, from Batman to Ninja Turtles to Ninja Gaiden. I know you guys always give me the pronunciation at the bottom of my videos, but Double Dragon, Strider. I mean, these are all pretty much really tight action platforming games that are a ton of fun, that are really, really cheap. And it just goes to show you that game collecting right now, there's still ways that you can enjoy the hobby and pick up some quality stuff at a really, really great price. There's definitely cheap stuff. And if you are someone who has the disposable income and can afford to spend a little bit more, obviously there's tiers, and you can step it up a little bit more and go a little bit more grandiose with games like Castlevania, Contra, Battletoads, things like that. So I do have one really cool NES game on the way. It's one of those games that you don't really see a lot of listings for online. And it's also one of those games that I wouldn't really, you wouldn't really know about it unless you're like actively collecting for the NES, because it's not a super popular game. But I'll just say this: Natsume made some really cool games on the NES, and hopefully that's enough of a hint as to what's on the way. But I did just want to take a quick second and just kind of talk about some of what I spoke about earlier today, just in terms of keeping your job and making sure that you're gainfully employed. It sucks, but even at my company today, they announced some layoffs. So it is getting really real out here, folks. I'm not sure where all of you work, where all of you are stationed, or where you're employed. But I can definitely tell you that there is a shift, and companies are cracking down. They are cracking down. So if you are at a job, if you are at a place of employment, my advice to you is to just honestly make sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that you are on your grind, because it is definitely going down. Little side note, I'm not sure if any of you have ever noticed this, but have you ever noticed that the Spider-Man game on the Nintendo 64 doesn't have Spider-Man crawling on the wall? How weird is that? Like, I just realized that, like, Spider-Man, like when you look at the game on the on the box, you do see Spider-Man crawling on the wall, but then on the cartridge, they just have a photo of the building with no Spider-Man crawling on the wall. I always thought that that was a little bit weird, but perhaps it's just me. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever noticed that. But yeah. So I say all that to say that it's really making me think about what the retro convention scene is going to look like this summer. I've seen videos with some folks going to conventions, and it's crazy to think about how many conventions have already been kicking off so far to start the year. But I don't know where collectors are getting their money from to buy games. I mean, unless obviously they have jobs, but it's rough out there. It is definitely tough out there. And I'm still seeing where folks are going to the conventions, but they're not looking as packed as they used to be. The last convention that I went to was um, the LI Retro Gaming Expo. That was the last gaming convention that I went to, and to be honest, I think I went on like the third day, so it wasn't even the day, like the most busy day. But it was still pretty packed. Now, there are two conventions that I'm considering going to. I know there's one in Connecticut, and I'm thinking about going back to the one in Long Island. So I may go. If I go, I'll definitely let the channel know. And perhaps I'll, be able to see some of my fellow YouTubers there. And hopefully I'll be able to find some of the games that I'm looking for. But when it comes to the conventions, I have really low expectations on making purchases, just because the last convention that I went to, the prices were crazy, man. Like, the prices were even crazier than what I would have found online. And the only time that you can really like snag a deal is if it's like the end of the day and you get to a vendor who's just trying to get like stuff, off of their table. So they're pretty much just cutting deals to liquidate and get rid of any leftover inventory. And I mean, if you're able to run into a situation like that, then you're good to go. But outside of that, I mean, it's just too expensive. Also, when you think about the cost to get in, because these entry fees are not cheap, unless you're like a speaker or unless you're on a panel or something. I guess maybe then you're able to get in free or get in early. But I am definitely not on that level, and nor would I want to be. Even if I got invited to a gaming convention to do anything, I just wouldn't want to, just because I'm low key. I'd probably creep through the convention without anyone knowing who I am, and I'd love it. I'd probably just get my games and sneak right on out of there. So, but I mean, just with the way things are going, it's looking tough. It's looking tough. And again, just to go back to the job thing, hang on to your job. Do your best. Make sure you show up to work on time. Make sure you do what you're supposed to be doing. Because without that employment, it's going to be tough to continue the hobby, unless of course you're a reseller. But we all know how we feel about that. But it's the Y2K collector. I may be back a little bit later on with another video just to kind of wrap up the day with you all. But it's been a crazy day, been a busy day. It's Monday. I felt all over the place today. It was a crazy day at work, but thankfully the day is over and I'll be able to kind of hang with the fam. So stick around. I'll be back with you all this afternoon. This evening rather. It's the Y2K collector. Take it easy.